All right, I want to call this meeting of the Belton Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. A quorum of board members is present. This meeting's been duly called and posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. We are here for a one-item agenda, and it is good news. Anytime, I said this earlier, anytime Jennifer and Glenn are in the house, that means that they're here to save us, our taxpayers, money. And so, unique circumstances. Thank you all for coming to a special meeting. Unique circumstances gives a sense of urgency to this. So Jennifer, come on and tell us why we're doing this and what we're doing and why we're doing it.
Okay, thank you.
We'll say yes.
We certainly appreciate y'all doing the special meeting. That really helps us out. For what we're contemplating tonight, we have to close the issue by December 31. So by moving your meeting up a week for us, that allows us to do that. So essentially what we're looking at doing, and we have a book that we can go through in a moment, but really, when interest rates drop in the market, we have an opportunity to take existing bonds that the district has sold in prior years and refinance those. And essentially what that means is that you are taking a new bond issue, you're selling it at a lower interest rate to replace the higher, older interest rate. It's the same example as if you were to refinance a mortgage. So anytime interest rates drop in the market, we take a look at it. This is a special circumstance. So these bonds have been callable for quite some time. We're looking at doing what we call an advance refunding, which means that the call date has not yet occurred on the bond issue. Under current tax law, we're allowed to advance refund bonds, meaning we can actually issue new bonds to defease those bonds, pay them off to fees, prior to the call date occurring. So what's happened is that the new tax plan that was first announced by the House and then the Senate actually just passed their version on Friday eliminates your ability for all municipalities across the United States to advance refund bonds on a tax-exempt basis. So what we've been coming to you every year pretty much on schedule and saying we have a chance to refund bonds, that could potentially go away. And I say could potentially, but the likelihood's pretty strong because both the House and the Senate have now passed their versions, which both include the elimination of that advance refunding. They now have to go to conference committee, and then the president has to sign it, although he certainly indicated that he's wanting to sign some sort of tax bill. So the likelihood of us being able to do that is probably, you never know what's going to happen in D.C., but it's a pretty good likelihood this will go away. So our urgency is that we're trying to take a look at all the bonds that you have where we could refinance those now, prior to December 31, and save money because we don't know if we'll be able to do that in the future. So let me walk you through this briefly here. The first page, summary of bonds refunded. What we're looking at refinancing, or refunding, same term here, are portions of your 2010 and 2012 bonds. Those carry interest rates there. If you look a couple of columns in, it says coupon. That's the interest rate that those are currently paying. They are paying between 3.5% on the low end to 5%. So that's what you're currently paying on those bonds, and those subtotal up to $49,340,000 of existing bonds with interest rates that are above market. On the next page here, pricing summary, kind of skip, there's 2 pages there, just skip to the second one. There's too much data. But essentially that second from bottom line on labeled page 3 says true interest cost, or TIC. That shows that what we would be paying in today's market is a 3.44%. So again, we're taking bonds that range anywhere from 3.5% to 5% and replacing them with a new bond issue that would have roughly a 3.44%. And what that means in terms of savings to the district on the next page, page 4, labeled debt service comparison, is that the district currently, and this is a little bit different than what you probably saw in your preliminary numbers, the district currently, I'm sorry, I'm not going through here. This is the important page. We'll just make sure we have that one up.
Yeah. We'll get this onto the website also.
You have to have better eyes than me to see that.
Yeah.
But what that means is that in today's market, we could actually refinance and get savings of approximately $4.159 million. There on the far right-hand column, bottom line there, that's the total savings per year. That represents, a couple of lines up from the bottom, about 5.8% less than what you're currently paying. This again assumes current market interest rates. It's bouncing all over the place, so we don't know where it's going to end up. But obviously, given what we could probably call eye-popping numbers, we wanted to bring this to you because anytime there's a chance to save over $4 million, it would, not behoove us to not call that out to your attention. Just in case the question comes up of why haven't we heard about this before, we know these bonds are out there to be refunded. But the call date on these bonds is a couple of years down the road. So for example, with the 2010s, those become callable in February of 2019, and the 2012s not until 2022. So we were, planning to do our traditional practice with you guys of waiting until it got closer to the call date and doing smaller refundings every year, as we have been doing. When we do the smaller refundings, we typically sell at a lower interest rate called bank qualified. If we're selling less than $10 million in the calendar year, we get a little bit lower interest rate. Obviously, we knew we couldn't do that this year because of the new money that we sold that the voters passed in May. So the plan was to start taking a look at this next year. So the sense of urgency really is purely driven by this tax bill and the fact that we don't know if we wait until we could not do anything and the tax bill passes and we wait until the call date to refinance these. The problem that we run into is that if in 2019 on the first piece and 2022 on the second piece, interest rates have risen above where they are now, we may not have any savings in 2019 and 2022 if we wait until the call date. So it's a risk either way. I mean, certainly they may not pass the tax bill and we could have taken advantage of this next year. But if we don't take advantage of it and it does go away, we will have not lost, but we have lost the opportunity to save, above $4 million. So that's why we're coming to you now. There are some sources and uses in here which list the cost of issuance, as well as showing you that we're not extending the term of the bonds. They'd be paid off when they would have been paid off originally. So there's no fancy accounting going on to make it look like there's savings. This is purely replacing the higher interest rate with a newer, lower interest rate. And again, a sense of urgency being that if we don't take a look at this now, we can't take a look at it potentially until 2019 and then 2022 on the rest of it. And at that point, if interest rates have risen, there may be no savings.
So in other words, to put it another way, the recommendation, the reason you're coming to us consulting, as you've done in the past, to counsel us that this is a good time for us to reconsider or refund our bonds, is to protect our local taxpayers against the actions being taken by the federal government, the Congress, to restrict our ability to save our taxpayers' money.
Yes. That's a great summary.
It is unfortunate that we need to do that. Clearly, this has been a benefit to our local taxpayers, the ability to refinance. The politics of why this is the environment we're in nationally is clear, but so, thank you for bringing us the issue, and Glenn, we appreciate you being here and you all bringing us to our attention and saying, yeah, we clearly need to take action to protect our taxpayers.
And we've gone back and forth about this, about saying, should we hold back a piece of this? Because this really kind of represents all of the bonds that are callable in the near future. Should we hold back a piece of it just in case the bill doesn't pass, and then maybe we have an opportunity to save a little bit more down the road? And really, probably where I come out is that it's passed both the House and the Senate. I say let's get what we can get.
Last week seemed a little iffy, but after the weekend, it's no longer iffy. It passed. And this isn't a controversial part of it. They're all pretty committed to taking away this benefit.
I mean, Glenn wrote a letter, he said.
School districts. Glenn, you know that well?
He wrote a letter asking for it to be put back in.
Don't expect that to have a lot of impact.
But no, there hasn't been a public outcry of people saying, please preserve the muni advance refunding capability.
People don't understand it.
That's right.
Clearly, it's not the sort of thing that's going to be going to get the attention.
Absolutely correct.
There are plenty of other things in the tax bill that are getting attention, but this is one that has a direct impact on our local taxpayers, a direct negative impact on our local taxpayers. But our taking action tonight will prevent at least some of that negative impact.
And I should say as well, to follow up on that point, that this doesn't force you to do it. This simply is a delegation, as we've done in the past with your refinancings. This gives you the ability to take advantage should the market be amenable to us doing so. And I will caveat that by saying that the market has been all over the place since this was announced. A ton of people are rushing to market because in addition to limiting your type of bonds for advance refundings, the House bill also limits a very large swath of the bonds that could actually be issued on a tax-exempt basis for private universities and hospitals and others. So there's a lot of people trying to rush to get in before the end of the year. And so as a result, interest rates spiked a good bit because there was so much paper out there. But actually this week we're seeing them come back down. I think probably people are realizing that a good portion of the market will not be available to them next year. So if they've got money to invest, they want to go ahead and invest it now. For example, Temple ISD was in the market last week with a refunding as well, not as large as yours, but we pulled it last week because it didn't look good, and then actually were able to price it today. So, there's a lot of this going on, and I'm not saying that we will get it done before the end of the year because it may drop, quite a bit, but we hope to be able to do so, and by taking action tonight, you're giving us the ability through the superintendent to take advantage on your behalf.
What's your best guess of when this will go to market?
Well, we're hoping to price on Monday, and I should also introduce Robin Redford, who is here. She's with Ramirez and Company, which is going to be the underwriter on this transaction. So in talking with them about a good time in the market, we want to go as quickly as possible. Interest rates are good right now, so we're targeting Monday of next week.
Okay, good. Glenn, is there anything else we need to know? Just keep us legal.
Glenn Opal with Bracewell, the district's bond counsel. The action item that you have before you tonight is the adoption of an order that authorizes the issuance of the bonds. It is what we call a parameters order. It authorizes the issuance of the bonds, authorizes the execution of a purchase contract with the underwriters. It authorizes the various agreements that we need to put in place. Call it a parameters order because it authorizes the issuance of the bonds in an amount not to exceed $49,340,000. Sets certain parameters on that, a maximum maturity date of no later than 2039, and we have to meet a minimum savings of 3% net present value savings. So there is a floor that we won't go under. But it then authorizes the superintendent, upon us going into the markets and coming back with the numbers, to give the nod for pulling the trigger on releasing the bond purchase contract. What that allows us to do, if you think about what happened with Temple last week, that this allows us to get the authorization in place and then to look at the market on an ongoing basis and decide when to pull the trigger at the most appropriate time.
Make sure we get a better deal.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. If it doesn't work one day, it may work 2 or 3 days later to maximize the savings. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, anybody want to read a motion? We've got legal. Everybody got it open? I'll entertain a motion. Anybody else have any questions? I think everybody's saying no. Go ahead.
Okay, approve order authorizing the issuance of Belton Independent School District Unlimited Tax Refunding Bonds, Series 2017, in aggregate principal amount not to exceed $49,340,000, levying a tax and providing for the security and payment thereof, providing for the award of the sale thereof in accordance with specified parameters, authorizing the execution and delivery of a purchase contract, a paying agent registrar agreement, and an escrow agreement relating to such bonds, approving the preparation of an official statement, and enacting other provisions relating thereto.
Is that a motion? I have a motion, and Ms. Jordan, and a second from Mr. Camden. Any other questions or comments? All in favor of the motion, raise a hand. That passes unanimously. And let me just, again, to summarize, our bond counsel and financial advisor has come to us with a recommendation to move swiftly to refinance all available bonds that we can at this time in order to mitigate the negative impact of current congressional action to prevent us from saving our taxpayers' money by refunding our bonds. So today, we've advocated on behalf of our community, our taxpayers, and countered the negative actions being taken in Washington. And I just want to add one other comment. We've talked a lot, frequently, about our role as advocates for public education for our taxpayers and all. If there is still anybody you know who doesn't accept that public education is under attack by those in Austin and Washington, this is another very clear indicator. The things that are being done were put into this tax bill. For example, the senator from Texas put in an amendment to allow a $10,000 deduction for private school education, while they're taking away the ability to deduct money that's used to fund public education and local services. Very clear, very obvious agendas. This particular one that's in the bill that will prevent refunding just hurts local taxpayers, just does. So thank you for bringing this to us. Thank you for working with our folks, with Jennifer and Dr. Kincannon. We appreciate your work. Thank you all for being here. Anybody got anything else you want to add?
I want to add that this is the 8th time that we've done bond refunding since 2010. And this will, should we sell as we plan to and save $4.5 million, this will put us over $13 million in savings to our taxpayers. We're excited about that.
That's good financial planning. Thank you all for being here. We've got several events coming up this week, so we've been talking about that. See you around, and next Monday, we'll be back for our regular meeting. Meeting is adjourned.